Hey y'all, it's Annalie, and I have gotten a lot of questions about how I made this kitchen in the new rendering platform. So I'm going to show y'all how I did this. I built everything that you see here except for the entourage and furniture in Chief Architect. And then imported it as one object into the platform. So I work in Chief Architect because I mainly draw construction documents and house plans for new construction. And well, I love Chief Architect for that. So, and it has all of this stuff. I know a lot of you guys use 2020, maybe you use Revit or AutoCAD. The process in general is going to be the same. But like I said, I use Chief Architect. And so this is how I did it. Over here in Chief, I built my room to the exact dimensions that Jenna put into the onboarding project. Obviously, this would be whatever parameters would be for your project. This is the onboarding project. So I built the room and then built my kitchen as I would any regular kitchen design that I do, with all the proper placements and scale and measurements and all of that. And as you can see, it's built all here in 3D. I went ahead and did all of my textures in here and made sure everything had its own individual texture how I want it. When you do the export, the textures do go with it. Sometimes they get wonky. They don't come out perfect in the end, but you want to make sure each thing does have something different on it. That way when you need to change it later, it's not all one texture everywhere. But so you can see here I did everything in the basis of the kitchen. So I've got my cabinets, my appliances, my range hood, countertops, all of that. So when we want to put it into the platform, we're going to want all of this, but we're not going to want the walls. Chief likes it when you have the walls to build stuff, so I do that first, plus for sizing. But now I just went back after I got everything built and deleted my walls. So here it is, the kitchen with no walls in 3D. So when you're in your 3D view, you're going to want to go over here to export and export a 3D model. And for this kitchen, I'm doing a DXF. I tried the Collada file. It didn't like it. It liked it on smaller projects. When I did like one cabinet, it liked the Collada file, but it did not like it on this one. So you have options. You can also do a 3DS, whatever software you're using. But for this one, the DXF worked great. So you click that. Whatever versions of your softwares that you're using, typically if you go back a few versions, that makes it compatible, but that's up to you. The important thing here is the scaling. You want to make sure it's in inches, and just make note of what you've got it in so you keep it in the same scaling throughout. The first time I did it, I had this in feet, and then it went into inches, so everything was 12 times as big as it should have been, and the platform did not like that. So that took some trial and error to figure out, but just check your scaling in everything, and then just export it, and wherever you want to save it. So you're going to want to click your DXF, and so I have already saved it before, but we're going to do the kitchen, however you want to call it, and save that. Yep. So it's going to think about it for a minute. And okay, so that's done. So now we're going to head over to SketchUp and you're going to want to open a new blank file. Go over to import, and here is your kitchen, the DXF file that we just saved. So you're going to want to do that. Check your options. Make sure you're in inches. Just make sure it's the same, whatever you do, so that it reads it correctly. Okay, and import it. And it thinks about it for just a minute and brings it in. It just takes it a second to load. The kitchen itself is a pretty big file. Smaller files will load a lot faster, but there's a lot going on with all those appliances and everything. And here it comes. So there it is. So here's how it looks when it comes into SketchUp. So it looks really funky. None of this matters when it renders and when it gets into the platform. This is just, SketchUp shows all the different planes and lines and everything of how it's built. So don't worry about it looking really weird. What you do want to worry about is where it's lost some textures here and it's changed it to the default texture. You just want to make sure everything is the same. So if all your cabinets you want, like in this blue color, then everything's the same. See, it like brought in something with this green. So I'm just going to want to change that bit so that everything comes in the same. And it changed for some reason. It didn't bring that texture in, so I would just want to fix that. I'm not going to change it all right now and spend the time doing that. But you just go in and make sure all of that, because the important thing is that everything you want to be its own texture is its own color, so that it doesn't change everything to default, because then you won't be able to change it later. And I do highly suggest you use the textures within the platform, because they're all 4K and high res and pre-set up for you. So even when we get in there, I'm going to change some of these, even though I already had them set up, just because their textures are really good and they render beautifully. And then you don't have to worry about something looking unrealistic. So once you get everything how you want it in here, then you are going to obviously save it and save that. And now, let's see. Now we're going to want to head over to the platform. So here is my onboarding project, and I had already uploaded a kitchen, so I just scooted it over there so you can see how I do this. So what you're going to want to do is go over to your personal library into your uploads and upload a new model. Upload a new model. So find it here. So here is the kitchen that we just did. And it's this one in particular is a big file. It takes it a minute again for it to upload it. Your smaller files obviously will go a lot faster. So there it is. And it wants you to pick stuff. So it's a kitchen, and I'm just calling it cabinets, and it sits on the floor. So you submit it and it renders it, and there it is. So now it actually takes it a minute. And it takes it even longer to load in over here for some reason. Okay, so it's finished rendering here. Now we can go back over here, and it's going to show up in your uploads here. So we just drop it in like any other thing. And it never sits the right way the first time, so just Get it and nudge it in there. And because we used the same dimensions, so here's a trick. If it won't go exactly where you want it, press the control key and move it, and then it doesn't pay attention to snapping and walls and other objects. So there it sits right exactly in my dimensions. So we can go to our 3D view. And what is it doing? Sorry. There we go. And I had already added in all of my accessories and entourage and furniture and things, so that's already in place. These are lights from the library, art from the library. Most everything in here is from the library except for this light fixture, which I brought in myself. And you see, it always looks really funky in here. But once you render it, it doesn't look like that. And y'all, that is it. That is the whole kitchen. That's how I got the kitchen in there. So next, if you go to render, let's see, I've got a view set up of my kitchen here in my 3D view. And we'll just render it as a standard real quick. It's pending. Okay, so that is finished, and you can see here that the kitchen is all there, and it looks fine. So the next thing you would want to look at in this rendering is how did your textures come out. So you can see that not all of them are great. Some of them are fine. The paint's fine. But the countertops, the wood didn't come out great. The hardware isn't as brass as it could look. So here's where I would definitely want to use textures from the platform, the ones that they provide. So we'll want to go back to our model and select our kitchen, go into the material editor, and fix the ones that didn't look great. So for instance, this countertop, I'm going to want it to be a stone and a marble. So I'm going to pick this one. So you can see some weirdness here. Don't worry about it. It doesn't show up like that in the final render at all. It's just part of the way the program works. So don't worry about any of that weirdness again. And so I'm going to change this one to let's do that brushed kind of look. Looks like the wood looks okay in here, but it did not look great in the rendering. So I'm going to choose another wood from the library. And looks like I need to fix the scale. So just adjust that till it looks right. And so I'm not going to worry about this because that's on the side where the wall is, and you'll never see that. So I am done fixing my textures. You may have more, you may have less, depending on what you've got in your model. But that's all I need to fix in mine. And like I said, all of these other pieces are from within the catalog, and this lighting. I did import this light fixture, but everything else is from the platform catalog. And so I will just do one more render. Check everything here, get that scene. And again, I'm not working on the lighting or anything here, just doing a quick one for you. So that is going to render. And it looks like it's finished. And there it is. So there's with the textures from the library. You can see they show up a lot better and work a lot better than the imported textures. So that's just something you definitely want to look out for. And again, I did not adjust the lighting or anything else for this one. But here to go back to my final rendering that you guys all have seen, where I adjusted all the lighting and everything. So that's it, y'all. That's how you build a kitchen and put it into the platform for rendering. I hope this was helpful, and y'all have a great day. Bye.